What? Nice tone. Crunchy. Okay, I love this band already. Hey, welcome back. My name is Sean Walrus. I'm a bass guitar and music coach, and this is my first time reaction and analysis of the Unimaginable Zero Summer by Wilderun, if that's the right way to pronounce it. This is a Patreon pick by Jonathan, and if you want to put in a request yourself, you can head on down to our Patreon page, join our Seismic Leviathan tier, and you can purchase a request there. Any track you want, I guarantee I will react to it and analyze it. So I've never heard this in my life. I've not gotten any context, any background. I like to go in completely blind, just so that nothing colors my impression of the track. As always, I will listen out for the bass lines, rhythms, arrangements, and composition. And if you enjoy fun and nerdy music stuff, make sure you're subscribed for more. After all, it's free and you can always change your mind. So let's explore what makes this song interesting. So this is a 14.5-minute track. Strap in your seatbelts. Let's go.
There was a time when meadow, grove, and stream, the earth and every common sight to me, did seem apparelled in celestial light, the glory and the freshness of a dream.
So poetic.
It is not now as it hath been of yore. Turn wheresoe'er I may, by night or day, the things which I have seen, I now can see no more.
Is that from a book or was it written for this song? Some nice acoustic plucking, swelling in. Very interesting chords. Oh, beautiful strings coming in. Love it.
Weak for too long to notice the calling. Weak for too long to feel the falling. Days carried on.
Very nice. Such a soothing timbre of his voice. It's a very slight bit of reverb. Timpanis. Wow. Haunting choirs. Oh, I love the blast beats with the right cymbal. So the chord progression has been retained from the acoustic part, just expressed very differently with the electric guitars. Nice. It's a very Opeth-esque progression here. Not anymore. There. Alright, so we just came out of what I felt was a very Opeth-esque chord progression. That was a really interesting thing that they did. There were two chord progressions we just came from as soon as they entered into the very heavy electric blast beat kind of section. So far, they've been in a 6/8 time signature, which is basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 all the way, at least in the most recent parts. And when they came into the electric part, the chord progression went something like... And then that went on, I think, 3 times, and then the final one went... Before going into that Opeth-esque progression, I'll just call it that, if you don't mind. So that progression already was very interesting. The A, and then it goes up to the C, which is the minor third of that, and then the minor third of the C, which is the D sharp. So up a minor third, up another minor third, and then back down to the C. So that alone was a very unconventional chord progression already, and that's one of the things that I love about music, is that you can't really predict where things would go. Well, not all the time anyways, at least for not these kind of bands. So the effect of that was that when the A... Give me a second, I'm gonna go up to my neighbors and get them to stop renovations. The neighbors said they'd stop the drilling, so that's great, we can get this going. So the interesting thing about this progression is that when it starts on the A and then it goes up to the minor third, which is the C, it creates almost a bit of darkness in there. From here, can you hear between the two chords like that it transits into a dark mood? And the interesting thing is that from there, which is already dark, it kind of transits further into darkness, in a sense, by going into its minor third. Right? So that's the impact that this very interesting progression has on the song. It goes from a note into something dark and then something darker. And the way it transits into the next section would be pretty interesting too. The very last cycle of that progression, they went from the C to the C sharp and then back down to the C. So I'm just going to play that again. We can follow along. So the A, C, D sharp, C, again, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this is the last one, where it goes from the C to the C sharp here. That's very interesting because it provides just a little bit of a piece of musical interest that perks the ears, so to speak, with that half step above the C. So the C to the C sharp, which is not something you'd expect, definitely. But it was a nice lead up into the next progression. So the very last note is the C, and then it started off on the A sharp with that, what I would call the Opeth-esque progression. C sharp. This is just a really cool chord progression, and I won't go too deep into it, but basically it starts on the A sharp, C sharp, G, back to the A sharp, D minor, back to the A sharp, and then the F, and then this A, A sharp, relative minor, which is the G minor, and then the A. So what was interesting in this chord progression was not just the fact that rhythmically where the chord change happens is quite unconventional, but what made it really interesting was that OPETH'S chord, which in this case, coming from the A sharp, would be the C sharp. This C sharp here, it's a minor third of the A sharp. So in the A sharp major scale, this note does not exist. And so adding it there as an outside note creates a lot of dissonance and darkness, which is what Opeth is really good at. Maybe you guys can let me know if they are one of the influences of Wilderun. But apart from that, the rest of the notes are pretty much in the A sharp major scale. There may have been some outside notes here and there, just parts of the chord tones, basically the notes that make up the chords within that progression. Here and there may have had some notes that were outside of the A sharp major scale, but for the most part, they were within the scale. So if you want to convert it to numbers, for those of you who know the Nashville number system, so it starts from a 1, the flat 3, 6, 1, and then the 3 minor, back to the 1, 5, 7, 1, 6, 7, and then the bassist goes on the higher register. Which kind of resolves or helps the entire section taper down into what sounds to be a section with a lower dynamic. So let's hear how the rest of this goes. Okay, let's hear a little bit from the back. Yeah, that Opeth chord, right? Oh, nice. Syncopated, groovy part. What an interesting time signature. Okay, I love this band already. Oh, I was not expecting harsh vocals. I love those ambient, clean guitar parts in the background. Pretty sure Opeth are one of their influences. Wow, nice. Oh, nice double kicks. So they've transited from a 6/8 to a 4/4. I wasn't sure at which point. Wow, that's beautiful. Oh, so nice. Epic. I just love the sonic quality of it. Just the way they layer the sounds and the way they shape those tones. Nice tone. Crunchy. Very nice accents. What? Male choir, beautiful. I just love that they have melded so many genres and subgenres of metal together. So it's generally some sort of progressive death metal that's influenced by Opeth for sure. What characteristics gave it away were, of course, perhaps the tone of the growls. That's one. The chords that were used. I mean, early on in the 4-minute mark, we identified that there was a chord progression that was very Opeth-esque in its quality. And of course, along the way as well, we've seen. And by the way, I'm not trying to say that they ripped off Opeth or anything like that. I think that it's totally fine to be inspired and influenced by, you know, the best bands out there, including Opeth. So I actually say all this as a compliment. Like, they've really captured that quality very well. And of course, a lot of the Opeth songs utilize 6/8 and they go between 6/8 and 4/4 quite frequently. So that was also something that was done here, all of which I love. But there were some things that made this very different from Opeth. One of the things more recently was the male choir. Oh yeah, sorry. And there's one more quality that was quite Opeth-esque, which was the fact that the tone, not just of the harsh vocals, was similar to Michael Ackerfeld's from Opeth, but even the clean singing seemed to be tonally similar, or at least influenced by Michael's clean tone. So I was saying one of the aspects that made it so different from Opeth though was definitely the very choral elements, and there's a bit of a certain gothic quality to this track that isn't always present in Opeth songs. But apart from that, I think, and I say this with utmost respect to both bands, that this sounds like an Opeth 2.0, and I mean that in a very good way, because it is refreshing to hear a different take, perhaps even a more modern take. You can hear some of the production elements are more current than some of the choices made in the early 2000s with some of the early Opeth works, at least those that I've heard anyway. And because of that, like, I'm really enjoying this. It feels almost like when I was listening to Loathe and I had a sense of like, oh, this was Deftones 2.0. And again, I meant that in the best way and with utmost respect to both bands. So I just wanted to point that out and express how grateful I am for this pick and for the fact that I was able to experience beauty, technicality, and production value such as this. Wow. Wow. This is different. Blast beats, something that Opeth doesn't do for sure. Not a whole lot anyway. Wow. I just love the choral elements. It really sounds like they're singing in a cathedral, doesn't it? And I love how even right now, whoa, lovely, they are still retaining the chord progression that had just played. before the band cut out into this choral section. The chords are the same.
Breezes of the empty brush past the surface.
Ooh.
Voices wither, villains are quiet.
Is that a synth lead line in the background? Very nice notes. Very dissonant. It's got a very interesting reverse delay kind of effect. Oh, the strings are so beautiful. When coupled with that lead line and the acoustic guitar. What's the rumble? So good. I was almost expecting it to rise into like a full band thing. It's a beautiful muted piano tone playing a beautiful chord progression. It's nice that electric guitar is playing that octave chord in the back as it slowly rises in volume. And the choir parts are just swelling as well. Beautiful. It's a very epic build. Back to 6/8. 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Nice bass line. So that was refreshing in an interesting way. That was maybe the first or one of the first few times that they played a chord progression that did not have any or many outside chords within them. So what they were playing was a thinking of that in terms of an F major scale. That was basically the 6 minor, the D minor, the 3 to the 4, 1, the 2 minor. So that was refreshing in the sense that, okay, here we have a rather accessible chord progression being played. And that's nice. Okay. Oh, back to what I call the OPETH'S progression in the 4-minute mark. Very beautiful. What a beautiful progression. Wow, that muted pianos again. So nice. Oh. So this chord progression uses ideas from the previous progression, but it isn't identical. but the movements are similar. What a beautiful piano tone. Another, that same octave chord swelling in the background again. Whoa. Wow, alright. What a fantastic journey. The unimaginable Zero Summer. Thank you so much again, Jonathan. Wow. I need a moment just to collect myself.
A few moments later.
So that swell with the octave chord towards the end was a swell into nothingness. And I don't know if that has anything to do with the theme of the song. Of course, our focus here isn't so much lyrics, but the musical aspects of a track. But let me know if that resonates in any way with the theme of the song. The fact that it swells at the end, almost like it's leading into something heavy or causing the listener to think that something heavy is coming, but it swells into nothing. By no means a new method, but the way they executed it was flawless. And I think I love, as much as I keep comparing them to Opeth, because there are similarities, musical similarities. Also because, you know, that Blackwater Park album Reaction was pretty recent, so the sounds are fresh in my mind. So I hope you don't mind that I make those comparisons. But apart from that, I think they actually made it their own. Perhaps they took ideas from Opeth and made it their own with more current techniques such as blast beats. I love that they incorporated the choral elements, like, you know, there were female choirs, then there was a male choir. The male choir one was really unexpected. I don't think I've ever heard that in a metal song before, and maybe not even in any song before. I thought that was really cool, and how they incorporated those syncopated hits, almost like some sort of what Dream Theater might have done, like that kind of thing. And I love that they just incorporated all these modern elements, both in production, in arrangement, and composition, and made it clear that they were Opeth fans, yet making this track their own. So I definitely love to hear more from this band, Wilderun. Let me know in the comments if there are any other songs by this band you think I should check out. Thank you so much for joining me on my Wilderun journey. Of course, if you enjoy this kind of a musical breakdown, you know what to do. Smash that like and subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you'll be reminded of all my future Reactionalysis videos. After all, it's free and you can always change your mind. Also, if you want to be a part of the Bass Coach Warriors community to get early access to videos, vote for future reactions, request for songs, join our awesome Discord chat. My Patreon link is in the description and on your screens right now. So thank you for geeking out with me today, and I will see you in the next video.